U.S. Navy destroyer just shot down 4 drones at sea without firing a single bullet. No missile, no explosion, just a beam of light, and the threat was gone in seconds. The weapon costs almost nothing to fire, it never runs out of ammo, and it moves at the speed of light. This isn't science fiction, it's already on the deck of a U.S. warship right now, and the world's most powerful navies are watching very closely. Introduction. The U.S. Navy has been fighting a quiet war for decades, not against another nation, but against a problem that no missile, no cannon, and no ship design has ever fully solved. How do you defend a multi-billion-dollar warship against a drone that costs $200? That question became very real in the Red Sea. Starting in 2023, U.S. Navy destroyers were spending million-dollar missiles to shoot down cheap Houthi drones. Night after night, week after week, the math was brutal, the missile supply was shrinking, and the enemy just kept sending more drones. The Navy needed a different answer, and they found one. Not in a bigger gun or a faster missile, but in a beam of light powerful enough to burn through steel. This is the story of the U.S. Navy's laser weapon program. What it is, how it works, why it matters, and why military experts are calling it one of the most important breakthroughs in naval warfare in the last 50 years. If you believe in the strength and ingenuity of the U.S. military, type proud in the comments right now. The problem that built the laser. To understand why laser weapons matter so much, you have to understand the problem they were built to solve. Modern naval warfare has changed dramatically. When most people think of a threat to a Navy warship, they think of another warship, or maybe a fighter jet. But today, the most dangerous and most common threat isn't a ship or a plane. It's a drone. Small. Cheap. And used in swarms. In the Red Sea operations between 2023 and 2025, U.S. Navy ships fired hundreds of air defense missiles to protect themselves and commercial shipping from Houthi drone and missile attacks. Those missiles work, but each one costs between $1 million and $4 million, and each ship carries a limited number of them. Now here's where it gets serious. When a ship runs out of missiles, it has to return to port to reload. That takes days. During that time, it can't protect the ships around it. The enemy figured this out. The strategy became simple. Send so many cheap drones that the defender runs out of expensive missiles first. The Phalanx close-in weapon system, which is the last line of defense on many U.S. ships, fires rounds so fast that it can empty its entire supply in seconds. A few bursts, and it's done. This is the cost trap. And it's not just a money problem, it's a strategic vulnerability that smart adversaries are already exploiting. The Navy knew it needed a weapon with a different kind of magazine. One that didn't count rounds. One that didn't run dry. The answer was light itself. Meet Helios, the weapon that changed everything. The program has a name that sounds almost too good to be true. Helios. It stands for High Energy Laser, with integrated optical dazzler and surveillance. Developed by Lockheed Martin under a $150 million Navy contract signed in 2018, Helios is now a real working weapon mounted on a real U.S. Navy warship. That ship is the USS Preble, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, one of the most capable surface warships in the world. And Helios isn't sitting in a lab or on a test barge. It's built into the ship's combat system. It plugs directly into the Aegis system, the same brain that already tracks threats, assigns weapons, and manages air defense for the entire ship. That integration is a big deal. Helios isn't just a gadget bolted to the deck. When a threat is detected, the ship's combat system can assign Helios as the weapon of choice, just like it would select a missile or a gun. The crew doesn't have to operate two different systems, it all flows through one interface. Here's how it works in practice. Helios generates a beam of directed energy, a laser, at a power level above 60 kilowatts. To To put that in context, that's enough electricity to power 60 homes simultaneously. The beam focuses on a target and holds on it long enough to apply intense heat. Depending on the setting and the target, that heat either destroys the target physically, what the Navy calls a hard kill, or burns out the electronics and sensors on board, a soft kill that leaves the drone flying but completely blind and uncontrollable. The range? Confirmed effective out to around 6 miles. And unlike a missile, which follows a flight path and takes seconds to reach a target, the laser moves at the speed of light. There is no travel time. Point, fire, done. And here's the fact that changes everything about naval economics. The cost to fire Helios once is estimated at just a few dollars in electricity. Compare that to $1 million for a standard air defense missile. You could fire the laser 1,000,000 times for the price of one missile. Before we dive deeper, please take a second to like this video and subscribe. Over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing. It costs you nothing but makes a huge difference to us, the moment it proved itself. For years, Helios existed as a test program. Impressive on paper, demonstrated in controlled environments. But warfare isn't a controlled environment. Real commanders needed to see it work under real conditions, at sea, moving, with actual threats. That moment came in 2025. The USS Preble conducted an at-sea counter-drone demonstration in a Navy-operated exercise. The target, 4 unmanned aerial vehicles. Real drones. In the air. Over open water. The Helios system engaged them. All 4 were neutralized. This was the first confirmed multi-target engagement using the system, not one drone. 4. The result didn't come through a Navy press conference or a Pentagon briefing. It surfaced in Lockheed Martin's fourth quarter financial report for 2025 when the company disclosed the milestone to investors. That tells you something important. This wasn't staged for public relations. It was an operational test, and the results were good enough to announce as a business achievement. Vice Admiral Brendan McLean, the Navy's top surface warfare officer, confirmed it publicly in early 2026. His words were direct. The successful at-sea testing in 2025 paved the way for future laser weapons systems. He added plainly that he is committed to advancing laser technology to the fleet and that the dream of a laser on every ship can become real. That's not promotional language. That's a fleet commander telling you where the Navy is going. And then came something no one expected, a real-world combat deployment. Operation Epic Fury, the laser goes to war. February 28, 2026. U.S. Central Command released imagery of a major strike operation against Iran. The operation was called Epic Fury. Arleigh Burke-class destroyers were launching Tomahawk cruise missiles at Iranian targets. Real combat, real stakes. When analysts examined the imagery closely, they spotted something significant on one of the destroyers. The Odin laser system, the Navy's lower-powered directed energy weapon, was mounted and operational on that ship during the strike. Odin stands for Optical Dazzling Interdictor Navy. It's a smaller, softer system than Helios, designed primarily to blind and confuse drone sensors rather than physically destroy targets. But its presence during a live combat operation confirmed something that most defense watchers had been waiting to see. A shipborne laser was now part of an active combat task force. Multiple Arleigh Burke destroyers have already been fitted with Odin. The installations are compact enough to be added without major structural changes to the ship, and they're already feeding real operational data back to engineers and Navy planners. The Red Sea. Operation Epic Fury. Real drones, real missiles, real lasers. The transition from test range to battlefield is no longer coming. It has already begun. Why the Navy took so long, and why now is different. Here's a question worth asking. The U.S. military has been researching laser weapons since the Reagan administration. That's over 40 years. Why is it only now becoming real? The honest answer is that the technology simply wasn't ready. High-energy lasers require enormous amounts of power. Early ship designs couldn't generate that power without shutting down other critical systems. The beam quality degraded over distance. Heat management was a constant problem. The laser itself would overheat before it could complete an engagement. Then there were the environmental factors. Salt spray, humidity, atmospheric turbulence. All of these affect how a laser beam travels through the air. Solutions that worked in the desert didn't work at sea. Admiral Darrell Caudle, the current Chief of Naval Operations, was refreshingly blunt about this when he was still Fleet Forces commander. He told reporters publicly that the Navy should be embarrassed at how slowly it had moved on directed energy weapons. He didn't sugarcoat it. He said the technology had been studied for decades without being turned into something the fleet could actually use. But something has changed. The drone threat in the Red Sea gave the program the urgency it needed. Budget pressures made the cost argument impossible to ignore. And advances in industrial laser technology, the same lasers used in manufacturing and cutting metal, gave engineers a reliable foundation to build from. Helios is built on mature commercial-grade laser technology. That's why it works when earlier systems didn't. The Navy didn't have to invent the laser from scratch. They had to figure out how to make a very powerful industrial tool survive at sea and integrate with a warship's combat brain. They did it. And now the race is on to scale it. What's coming next? The future is already being built. If Helios at 60 kilowatts is already stopping drones, what happens when the power goes up? The Navy is already working on the answer. A program called Songbo is developing what could become the world's first 400 kilowatt shipboard laser. That's nearly 7 times more powerful than the current Helios system. At that power level, the weapon moves beyond drones and fast boats. It enters the range where cruise missiles become viable targets. Anti-ship cruise missiles are one of the most dangerous weapons a U.S. carrier group faces. China has invested heavily in them. Russia has them. Iran used them. If a laser can reliably stop an incoming cruise missile, the entire defensive calculation for a carrier strike group changes. Admiral Caudle went even further. He has spoken publicly about future ambitions for megawatt-class lasers, that's 1,000 kilowatts, on next-generation surface warships. At megawatt power levels, the weapon could potentially engage ballistic missile threats. And then there's the Golden Fleet. In December 2025, President Trump announced plans for a new class of heavily armed warships named Trump-class battleships. These ships are designed to carry hypersonic weapons, electronic railguns, and high-powered laser systems as core armaments. Directed energy weapons are, in Admiral Caudle's own words, a prominent element of the battleship going forward. The CNO, Chief of Naval Operations, sees the battleship program as the forcing function the Navy has needed for years. A flagship program with presidential attention and defense budget priority creates the industrial and engineering pressure to finally solve the remaining challenges. Where decades of research papers didn't move the needle, a presidential directive and a new class of warships just might. The Navy's official fighting instructions guidance, released in early 2026, now includes a comprehensive directed energy strategy with defined priorities, capability thresholds, and timelines to align investments with future platforms. That's not a research program anymore. That's a deployment plan. The honest limitations. Good military reporting doesn't just cover the wins, it covers the full picture. And the full picture of laser weapons includes real limitations that the Navy is still working through. The most important one is this: a laser can only engage one target at a time. In a coordinated swarm attack involving dozens of drones launched simultaneously, Helios at 60 kilowatts fires at one, while the others keep coming. That's why Navy commanders have been consistent that lasers are not a replacement for missiles. They are an additional layer, a first response that handles the cheap individual threats before the expensive missiles need to be used. Range is the second factor. Helios is most effective at close-in distances. Against targets that are far away or moving very fast, effectiveness drops. The system also needs several seconds of dwell time on a target, holding the beam on one spot long enough to cause damage. Against very fast or maneuvering targets, that becomes harder. And weather. Fog, heavy rain, and thick atmospheric conditions reduce beam effectiveness. The Navy operates in every climate on Earth, from the Persian Gulf to the Arctic. A weapon that struggles in certain weather is a weapon that requires backup. These are not secrets. Navy officials have stated them publicly. But they are also engineering problems, not fundamental limits of physics, and each new generation of the system addresses them more effectively than the last. USS Preble is, right now, a test bed. But every carrier strike group that sails includes lessons learned from that test bed. The Navy is building knowledge with every engagement, every demonstration, and every deployment. Conclusion. Here is where the U.S. Navy stands today. One destroyer carries the most powerful shipboard laser ever put to sea. Several more carry the Odin system in operational deployments. A 400-kilowatt system is in development. A new class of battleships will carry megawatt-class weapons. And for the first time in history, a laser system was part of a live combat task force during a real-world strike operation. The Navy spent decades stuck in a cycle of expensive missiles against cheap threats. The laser breaks that cycle, not because it's perfect, but because for the first time, a U.S. warship can defend itself against the most common threats at a cost that makes strategic sense. The men and women of the U.S. Navy have always adapted. They adapted to aviation. They adapted to nuclear power. They adapted to the missile age. And now, they are adapting to the age of directed energy. The speed of light is now a weapon, and it belongs to the U.S. Navy. If this video gave you something new to think about, hit the like button and subscribe. You'll be the first to know when the next one drops.